This is a sermon. It's very different for me to preach. Not my typical. This is entitled Redshirts, a survey of minor character subplots. We'll have fun with this, huh? Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages. Oh, cool. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life, new civilizations, and to boldly go where no man has gone before. I'm a Trekkie, as some people would say it. I really like the series Star Trek. I think it's really neato. I didn't know why I liked it so much until some people challenged me to that, and they said, they like something else better, and I was like, but Star Trek is just so amazing. Like, it's got action, it's got drama, it's got character development, it has important plots that deal with real world situations, but other world situations too. And the purpose of Star Trek, though, is to seek out new life, to value humanity, or alienanity, or life in general, to value life. That's what Star Trek is about. And so you have main characters like this that drive the stories through, and you follow them, and you really identify with some of them, and you see how they experience new things and how they interact with the people that they meet and the problems that they're faced with. But as they move through, if any of you have watched the original series, or if you're just familiar with Star Trek, there's this concept that you've got the main characters, but then you have lots of other people, because it takes a lot of people to run a ship, right? Especially one that's going through space. So we've got these main characters, but then now and then there's a very dangerous away mission that they need to go from this ship in space down to a new planet where there might be hostile aliens or some dangerous situation, and so then they create their way party, and so they'll put together these characters, and so we've got the captain and some of the other main characters, but then you have this guy. He's called a red shirt in the original series, because and when this guy is picked, these named actors, and then all of a sudden this other guy, you look and you go, he's not going to make it. Something's going to happen. You just know, because he has on a red shirt, and you don't know him from anything else. And so it's actually become this saying, this thing to where they make memes like this. It says, expendability. Kirk, Spot, McCoy, and Ensign Ricky are beaming down to the planet. Guess who's not coming back? So these things are all over the internet, and so it's become such a thing that they've actually made shirts. Run like you're a red shirt, expendable, red shirt running team. I'm probably not going to make it. Things like this. So this is just hilarious then when you see what's going on. So you've got these disposable characters, so to speak. These people that are in the movie, they're in the plot, but they're not crucial to what's going on. It's even spoofed in a movie called Galaxy Quest about Star Trek, where this one guy, it's all these main characters, and then this one random guy, he says, they say, you were on the show? And he's like, yeah, I was crewman number 6, And it's like, okay. And later on, he's in a really tight situation. And he goes, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. They said, you'll be fine. He goes, no, I'm supposed to die. And they said, no, you're not. You'll be fine. He says, what's my name? What's my name? I don't even have a first name. I'm not that important. I'm going to die. So he knows this. They fixed this whole problem with Redshirts with later series, because after the original series, then they had Next Generation, and they had Deep Space Nine and Voyager. They fixed this red shirt problem because they just changed the color of their shirts. Then they were yellow or whatever else. But you knew that they were going to go also. But there's something that's different about Star Trek is that even though there are these people these characters that they're incidental to what's going on, when someone dies or someone gets hurt or something, there is a pause. The captain, everybody around, they realize the magnitude of their situation. That somebody, that life was lost. And there's a pause in the plot. There's this, wow, something happened here. This continues through the theory. This is what Star Trek, it values life, even when it's an enemy. And it just happens that they explode or something like that, the ship. They think this was unnecessary. They didn't have to die. You know, we could have worked this out, but they chose something different. So there's this sense of life. But then there are main characters who will sometimes put on the red shirt. But even though they have the red shirt on, you go, oh, they'll be fine. You know, they're not going to lose the main character. So that continues with Star Trek. So this concept, because I'm a Trekkie, I have this concept that life is valuable, but it does matter if you're a main character or if you're not. And you either move the plot along or the plot moves you. And I think that because I was exposed to this and hypersensitive to it, I saw that as a society, though, as I'm watching more and more movies as they come out, I'm noticing that we're filling our society with this concept that certain people that are interesting, the people that we know, the unique, are somehow more valuable than those that seem to us to be foreign or alien or not part of our in-group or who all look the same or something like that. Like that. So I noticed it first in this movie. It's called Open Season. It wasn't so big of a movie. It did well, kind of well. I don't know, 23 million first weekend. So in this movie, it was interesting. It was a bunch of wild animals in the forest, and this hunter, he's coming to. He objectifies them. He turns them into, all he cares about is for food or for sport. And so he's just out there to just kill these woodland creatures. And so they take back the forest. And so then they all gang up, and the ducks and just everyone gangs up on this hunter and turns the tables. And so everyone's like, yeah, for the underdog. But there's this weird, very out of character couple of scenes where these rabbits, who are all throughout this movie, there's so many of them. They're just everywhere, and they're constantly in this film. And it gets to a point where the deer picks up the rabbits and he goes, rabbit fight, and he throws them at the bear, and then they have this scene where they're fighting with rabbits. And it's kind of like, oh, this is weird because the rabbits, they're being thrown around and they're smacking and they just kind of, and then they slide down. So there's this whole slapstick comedy thing going on. But then I thought, these are characters. These rabbits are characters in this story. They are valuable. They have faces. They have expression. They have feelings. And these other characters that are trying to, get rid of this oppressor are now oppressing others. And I was like, what's going on here? It was really disturbing to where I really hate this movie now. Yeah. And then I went on, watched another movie later. So Madagascar, great movie. It was funny. I mean, all of them are funny. And so it's great, right? Have you seen Madagascar? Yeah, okay. You know what I'm talking about then. But then there's this character. Do you know the name of the little guy? Do you know his name? What's his name? Wait, close. Mort. So he's this cute little. They're all lemurs, but he's like this little tiny one. And as Madagascar 1 goes through, he gets the brunt of all of the. Okay, so this is King Julian. King Julian is this wonderful king, and he's just fantastic. But then he has but he treats all the other lemurs like his subjects because they are. But he rules them, and they do things for him. They become like inanimate objects to just hold things for him because he's the king and he can do this sort of thing. But then this little guy, Mort, the king hates him. Like, he's just like, oh, you're so annoying, go away, And there's, just because he's tiny and he's needy and he's like, oh, go away. And so this is how the king treats him. I'll come back to that later. But then in Madagascar 2, there was this interesting scene that really, it irked me again. Like, what's going on here? There is this, it's so incidental. These characters are so minor that I couldn't even find decent pictures of this character. Do you know this character's name? Whoops, sorry. Do you know this character's name? Anybody? You do? No, you don't. What's his name? That's right, it's Madagascar. This is Bobby, this little tiny, like deer-like African creature, little tiny thing. Like, they're really, like live pictures, they're about this big. And this character is, throughout this movie, is constantly being used just kind of like you would a teddy bear, but one that you don't like. And so Alex, the main character, he's picking these guys up. There's a whole bunch of them. There are lots of them. They all look the same. They're picking them up, and he's tossing them around, and this one just happens to stay with him throughout the story. But he just kind of, it doesn't matter how this little Bobby feels, because he's just part of the plot. But the story doesn't stop. It doesn't pause. It doesn't acknowledge that someone is being ignored, someone is being, that there's something being done against them. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. It's part of the humor. It's funny because they're small, they all look the same, and they're insignificant, so they just keep going. So insignificant that you can't even find pictures on the internet. Guardians of the Galaxy. Y'all gonna hate me, aren't you? I keep poking at all these movies. I won't talk about Star Wars, don't worry. So in Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got this subplot. There's this collector, and the collector is collecting things from really unique things from all around the universe. But it's not just things. It's beings. It's these creatures. These people from all around the universe, and he collects them and he keeps them in these cages all around inside of his shop, inside of his collection, and they're captives in this space. So his assistant down here, she sees that he gets, to make it short, she sees that she has an opportunity to end this slavery that she's in, this oppression from her master, and she takes it. And in the process of taking this opportunity, she blows up the whole facility there, and cages blow into pieces and just decimation everywhere. And that, you know, things happen in movies, but in the plot, there's a lot of all these creatures, all these people that are caged up. It isn't shown, it isn't spoken about, but it is understood that most of them lost their lives in that space. But there isn't a pause. It just keeps on going. The movie keeps on going. It's completely edited out. There's no concern for these people. But there is for the little dog that escapes. Do you remember that little dog as he ran away? There's a whole backstory to Cosmo, but without that, a kid that watches this movie is going to say, oh, the dog escaped, so it's okay. Because the dog escaped. But all those other people, and it goes along without a bump. In the next Marvel movie or other type of action movie, watch and see who matters in the scenes of destruction from whoever the bad guy will be. When the buildings fall, who do they showcase as escaping? And how many others were expected to be inside but never mentioned? The low value placed on human life, on alien life, on whatever life, it's disturbing. So I thought, okay, so can this always, was this always like this? Because these are movies in the past decade. Like, what about when we were kids, you know? Like, what about the good classics? You know, are they just as corrupt, you know? Like, so I started looking back, The Little Mermaid. And so I realized there was this incredible opening scene. This is the scene where the ship is sailing through the water and Prince Eric, right? He's up on the top, and so are all of his crew and everything. And they're hoisting up this catch of fish from the ocean. And this lifelong sailor, he's there, and he's picking these fish up out of the net, and he's tossing them into the bucket behind him. These fish, though, I should have made a blown up, they're just fish. Like the way they're drawn even, they're just fish. They're just fish with these like blank stares on their face, and they're just this. But he takes this fish, one of the fish in his hand, and he waves it in front of Eric's guardian guy. And their uncle. It says uncle? Okay. And something really cool happens here. Something that I'm very impressed with. The directors were very intentional here. That before, the fish is just wide-eyed and gaping. But as soon as somebody looks at this fish, suddenly it has an expression. It's been seen. It now has this value now to the plot. It suddenly can take on a character. It's personified. It has value now to the plot. And so it goes through, and the fish escapes, and it jumps over the side of the boat, and it splashes into the water. And we follow this fish all the way down to King Triton's kingdom. So this fish becomes the gateway between our normal world, where fish are fish and it doesn't matter, to he's been seen, and we now follow him down into the mysterious depths of a whole nother world and a whole nother experience. You know, it is a battle. It's a real struggle to keep ourselves from dehumanizing a particular group of people, because it's a real struggle to care for everyone. It is tiresome. It's not in our nature, but we must recognize that innate value of every life instead of just laughing it away. We are through the way the plots are being written, we are teaching our children something that isn't, it's not good. We are buying into this concept that you only matter if you're a main character, and that could mean that you are, in order to be recognized, in order to have value, in order to have somebody pay attention to you, you have to be a main character in life. And that doesn't just mean you have to be a main good character. It can also mean that you can be a bad character. And it really doesn't matter if you want attention, which you are, the good or the bad, because both will be good enough, so people will pay attention to you. And this is the message that we're teaching to our children through these story after story after story. To become a main character is good. It doesn't matter, good or bad, as long as you get some spotlight. And you know, not too long ago, this social mechanism played itself out in our own society. 120,000 Americans were discriminated against because to everyone else they looked different. They couldn't be distinguished from the people we were fighting against. So if they all get pushed into camps, it's somehow okay because we don't see them anymore. And to us, to everybody else, they just all look the same. There's lots of them. They're not as powerful, so we can just do this to them, and you know, it's no big deal because now we no longer have to look at them. Today isn't much different. There half as many people are right here in LA. The point is quietly replayed in our movies, and it's quietly replayed on our streets. The homeless in LA, there are so many of them. When you drive past real fast on the freeway, they all look the same. They're not main characters, and so somehow it's okay that the way we treat them, but it's not okay. We have people in Hollywood, our very real neighbors, who are Redshirts. People that when you see them, you know that what the plot of society is going to do to them. And as things are, they have no name, they have no face, no voice, and they all look the same, more like props than people. So what will you do? What can you do? One of the people in our church, Chris Chin, he used his talent to give the people on the streets. He used his talent to give people on the streets of Los Angeles back their humanity by simply seeing them, one face at a time. His paintings seek to restore the lost faces of people. You have opportunities to do something. We are starting we are adopting a new Imagine LA family as a church. We will be connecting ourselves to one family that used to be on the streets and making sure that when they get into a safe house that they stay there. And so we are pouring our lives into them, and we'll be starting that soon. And if you're interested, you can talk to Alburn or to myself or to Andrew, anybody. We also have weekly guests here at our church working, and it would be fantastic to have people here who are wanting to work one-on-one with them, to meet their needs, to be heard, to be seen, to have your attention so that they don't end up just a red shirt. God's way is different than what we've been talking about so far. He says, "Do I take pleasure in the death of the wicked? Is it somehow justified to oppress the foreigner or the sojourner among you? But this is pure and undefiled, genuine religion, to look after the widows and the orphans." And then God says this, he says, "Teach this to your children." This in contrast to what society teaches us. Humanity is so important to God that he put his image there. Jesus guards and, in fact, restores the value of each person. Your humanity is safe with him. The beggar by the roadside, the paraplegic by the pool, the sick woman in the streets. He senses her presence, a neglected and rejected woman in a sea of people, and he says, "Who touched me?" And turn that dusty street into a red carpet, and this lonely extra into a lead actress to be remembered for 2,000 years. And so you have this guy. Jesus will look at someone like him, see that he's tiny, insignificant, annoying, and he says, "I see you. I see you." In the book of Matthew, Jesus points out that the flowers of the field and the birds of the air, they're not just extras. They're not just props, not just set design and Foley. Even though that they're probably going to be blurred out and the soundtrack is going to overpower them in the final edit. But God says that I see each sparrow that falls, each sparrow that fly by the 100, that black out the sky by the 1,000. And he says, not one of them falls to the ground without God taking complete notice of them. Each one is valued by him. So how much more valuable are you than a bird? So what about you? Who do you see? Have you ever felt like you're just one of the countless no-name extras walking around in the background of this world, waiting for the plot to move you along? God sees you because God loves Redshirts.